In this video, we're going to look at working with if statements in your code. An if statement is a programming structure that will let you make decisions in your code. So maybe you need to see if a value is one thing or another. You can use an if statement to see if a certain thing is that or if something is true or false. And that lets you run different code, branch into different code based on which thing it is. Let's do an example that might make this make a little more sense. Make sure you've got js.do open and that you have clicked create new code. And let's start with something blank here. So some code in JavaScript that will do an if statement is the command if, and we're going to put our condition in parentheses. This is the thing we're going to test to see if it is true or false. Basically, the if statement is if the condition is true, then it's going to run certain code, and if it's not, it's going to run other code. So for this condition, let's say we want to find out if 2 plus 2 equals 4. Note that when I said equals, I used two equal signs. That's because in JavaScript, a single equal sign is when you're assigning value to a variable. That's an assignment operator. It's different from saying one thing is equal to another. When you're testing if one thing is equal to another, you want to use two equal signs. So we're going to use two equal signs and compare 2 plus 2 to the number 4. So if those two things are equal, then we want it to do the following. Document write, and we want it to say yes. Say that yes, those two things are equal. Now I'm going to put a few spaces here. That helps me remember that inside these braces, all of this code is going to run, and it's good structure to help me see that, okay, this is a bit of code that will run inside these braces. Now if that's not true, we have another command called else, and we're going to put code inside those braces. Now if that condition is not true, we want to put out on the web page no. Okay, so what's happening here again is we have an if statement. If the things inside, oh, in fact I'm missing a parenthesis. If the things inside, no I'm not. If the things inside here, 2 plus 2 equals 4, if that is true, then it's going to run the code inside these braces, which is document.write, and it's going to ignore down here. However, if it's not true, it's going to only run the else code. So let's see what happens when we run code. Okay, we got a yes, because 2 plus 2 does equal 4. Now what if we change that 4 to a 5? What should happen if we click run code is we get a no, because that's not true. So it skips this code and runs just this code. Now, one of the powerful things about programming is you can use what's called a variable. A variable is basically a box, and you can put things in it. That box can hold numbers, it can hold words, it can hold all kinds of things. In this case, I want to set that variable, that box, to a number. Rather than get down here in this if statement and have it show up here, what I want is my variable to be equal to 4. So var, or vir, tells JavaScript, hey, I'm about to tell you that I'm going to make a box. And I'm going to call it my number. And I'm going to assign it the value of the number 4. Well, what's great about that is I can come down here in my if statement, and instead of typing a number in, I can say, look in that box called my number, and compare that, whatever's in that box, with 2 plus 2. So what I've done is I've set up a variable, and I'm using that variable down here. So let's see what happens when I do that. It says yes, because it came here to the if statement, it looked in the box called my number, it said, oh, there's a 4 in there. Well, let's compare that to what's over here. Great. And I can change that variable to anything I want, and it will look in that box and see there's a 5 in there and act accordingly. So that's how an if statement would work, and that's also how variables work. On top of that, let's do one more fun thing. Instead of just giving it a number, we can ask the person using our website to give us a number. So that's a little more interactive. That's one of the great things about the web. So let's do that. Instead of just giving it a number, we're going to get a number from the person using the website. To do that, we're going to use this command, window.prompt. So window.prompt is a command that will get a number from the person using the website, and this is the text it's going to show them. And make sure we put that text in quotation marks. So see what happens when we do that. Let's run code. So I've prompted the person. They've come to visit the web page for the first time. I asked them for a number. I'll give them the number 4, and I'll click OK. And the answer is yes. So I picked a number that is equal to 2 plus 2. In fact, we should probably be more specific. So enter number equal to 2 plus 2, that's a 4, and we get a yes. Now what happens if we hit something that is not true? Let's do a 5. The web page then shows us a no. In fact, we can type in something like peanut butter, and it will say no. And basically it's saying it's not 4, so I don't care what else you typed in. It's a no. So that's how to work with variables, if statements, if and else, and how to get information from the person using your website.